Greetings, curious acolytes and students of the Force, and welcome back to the channel. Many times in the Star Wars mythos, we have seen Force lightning being used by the Sith, a staple dark side ability many have employed to great effect against the Jedi and other beings during combat. One of the most valuable and proud dark side abilities that have ever existed. But just as with any Force ability, the Jedi adapt to it and learn ways to counteract it. Just like with blaster bolts and other forms of energy, it seems to be a standard function for all lightsabers to be able to block and absorb Force lightning without much of any issue. We first see someone blocking Force lightning when Obi-Wan does so on Geonosis when defending against Count Dooku. The way he holds up his lightsaber and catches the electricity looks effortless and almost nonchalant. Of course, the next time we see something blocking Force lightning is when Mace Windu does so on Coruscant. However, this time against the much more powerful Darth Sidious, the master of the ability in Legends continuity and said to be the most talented hand with it in the entirety of Star Wars lore, including all of the ancient Sith. It seems like a struggle for Mace Windu. However, he manages to do something we rarely ever see anyone do with a lightsaber: reflect the Force lightning back at the user. Besides Mace Windu, there has only ever been few Jedi who have ever been able to do this. Yoda most notably can reflect Force lightning within his hands by using the ability known as Terminus, which is effectively holding energy within one's palm using the Force itself and then dispelling it. This though is very different than what occurs with Mace Windu. As we saw in Revenge of the Sith, Darth Sidious's Force lightning actually overwhelmed that of Yoda's lightsaber, as Yoda was unable to counteract Darth Sidious's Force lightning with his own blade. So why is it that Mace Windu seems to be the only Jedi able to do so with Darth Sidious and this ultimate version of Force lightning? Well, my friends, if this question burns within you, then you've come to the right place and opened the right holocron. The answer to this question lies solely not in a particular Force ability, but in Mace Windu's lightsaber form itself. Before we begin though, we have noticed that many of you using our archives have not yet subscribed, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and enroll in our academy to gain access to our ever-growing archives and to learn the secrets of the Force every single day. Before the knowledge of Form 7 was released, many had assumed that it was because of a special feature within Mace Windu's purple lightsaber that allowed him to reflect Darth Sidious's Force lightning. In all reality though, it had nothing whatsoever to do with his lightsaber's construction. To understand why this is possible, we must first understand Mace Windu's combat form. Form 7, also known as Juya, the way of the Vorkstner, or the Ferocity form, was traditionally and exclusively a Sith lightsaber variation. The form was actually forbidden to be practiced by Jedi without special sanction from the High Council directly. Juya's strikes are sharp and chaotic and occur in quick bursts. It is enough to eviscerate the defenses of even a Form 3 master, Form 3 being the defensive specialized form. In the book The Jedi Path, the Battle Master has this to describe about Form 7. Vicious and unpredictable, Form 7 requires a Jedi to attack under the guidance of controlled passion. It is this aspect that has caused the most consternation among the Order, for proper execution of Juya seemingly puts a Jedi in violation of the Jedi Code's pure precepts. There is no emotion, there is peace. So far, it is understandable why no Jedi was allowed to practice Form 7. However, there is a light side way to understand the form. The book continues. However, Form 7 masters do not give themselves to emotion blindly. They channel their inner turmoil into a mental forge. This forge provides passion to power their raw strength and furious strikes. A true expert keeps his emotions locked within the forge. Lesser practitioners of the art might allow their emotions to spill out during battle, poisoning their intentions and drawing them further into the fury of the dark side. It is because of these reasons that the form was somewhat outlawed by the Jedi Order, with very few exceptions. One of those exceptions, however, was of course a Jedi Master named Mace Windu, who would not only go on to master the form, but go to create a highly effective variant known as Vapad. Mace Windu created this variation alongside a colleague of his named Sora Bulk. Unfortunately, Sora Bulk would suffer the same fate that many Form 7 practitioners fell into, which ultimately led them to banning the form, as he would eventually fall to the dark side despite being a highly decorated Jedi Master. After Mace Windu defeated Sora Bulk, Mace refused to teach anyone in the Order about the art of Vapad. So what was the deal with Form 7 and its variation in Vapad? What made it different than Juya? and why does it give one the ability to reflect Force Lightning? Mace Windu's variant of Juya was a special one, as rather than using his own passion to fuel his form's power, he would use his opponent's. Let's break this down. What Mace Windu essentially did was he brought himself to the very edge of the dark side, but refused to fall. He brought his emotions to the forefront, but without actually using any of them. Instead, he used his feelings to turn his opponent's emotions and darkness against them. Exactly what happens whenever a bullet hits a hardened, immovable surface. The velocity of the kinetic force is transferred into the opposite direction, causing the bullet to ricochet and reflect back to the shooter, creating a sort of superconductive loop. The same principle here can be found with Vaapad, with Mace Windu making himself an immovable object and rooting his emotions in the light side. This made him an absolutely devastating opponent to any Darksider. In effect, the stronger the Darksider was, the stronger Mace Windu became. This basically steals a Darksider's finest weapon, their strength and passion, and it turns them against them with great effect. This is why Mace Windu was such a prolific lightsaber duelist, especially against Sith. Now, we start to get back around to how he was able to reflect the Force lightning. Just as he did invisibly during their duel, he reflected Palpatine's lightning with a physical, visual manifestation of Vaapad doing what it was created to do: repel the dark side and send it back to the wielder. There has always been a heated debate over whether Mace Windu actually beat Palpatine or if Palpatine threw the fight so that Anakin could come in and kill Windu himself, because obviously with Sidious being gifted in foresight, he knew that Anakin would come. Our researchers, however, have come to the opinion that what occurred was a little bit of both: Sidious throwing the fight and also being defeated. After Sidious dispatched the Jedi Masters with lightning speed, he began to fight Mace Windu, who had recovered from the Force scream that Sidious started with much faster than the other Jedi. I believe that perhaps Sidious at first was toying with Mace Windu and drawing out the fight to give Anakin time to arrive. Sidious at one point in the battle had the blade leveled at Mace Windu's bare chest and could have simply leapt forward and ran him through. However, he chose not to. With that noted though, we did notice a certain change after they exit the hallway. Due to Sidious dragging out the engagement, he made a mistake by allowing Mace Windu the time to fully sink into Vaapad, and Sidious would find himself actually legitimately fighting for his life. Though when he sensed Anakin enter the Senate building, Sidious allowed himself to be disarmed right in time for Anakin to show up. Sidious gauged correctly Anakin's arrival, but dangerously misjudged Mace Windu's power within Vaapad and his ability to reflect Sidious's lightning back at him, which is why it was ultimately Windu to reveal the true face of Darth Sidious. Not only did he use his lightsaber to absorb the lightning, but we got to see Vaapad in action, a physical manifestation of the inner workings of the Force and the lightsaber form. So my friends and students of the Force, what is your assessment on this phenomenon? What are your opinions on this being the explanation for why Mace Windu was able to channel Force lightning back into Sidious, and why he's the only individual we've ever seen capable of such a feat? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching and continuing to support the channel. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.